In this video, we're going to be reviewing the Hiboy S2 Pro electric scooter versus the iScooter Max. I'm going to let you know what their similarities are. More importantly, I'm going to tell you about their differences. We're then going to do a few test rides. I'm going to share my opinions on both these scooters after having owned them for the last few weeks. So if you'd like to learn more about them, stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. So before we get into all the details, I do want to let you know up front that I did purchase these scooters with my very own money. I didn't get these sent to me, and the companies don't know that I'm doing these reviews. I paid the normal price as any consumer would pay on the websites, which will be mentioned, as will the prices be shared at the end of the video.
So these scooters are known as commuter scooters. They are targeted towards first-time riders and commuters who are going to work or want to travel from point A to point B. They fall in the same price bracket and are very lightweight, portable, and made easy for transport. Now, aside from looking very similar, they also do share a lot of similarities. So I could tell you that both scooters operate with a 500-watt single hub electric motor, which makes these front-wheel drive. They have a 36-volt rechargeable battery system. They do have 10-inch solid rubber honeycomb-style tires. With the honeycomb-style tires, there's little air pockets in those tires that allows for some forgiveness over bumps and rougher terrain. Each scooter does have an operating headlight, brake light, and bell to alert nearby people that you are approaching. To power the scooter, there is a thumb throttle, very similar to an ATV or snowmobile, and both scooters do have dual rear spring suspension. Now, I will admit the suspension is rather stiff, and you don't really feel it being useful unless you're using the optional seat on the Hiboy, but we'll touch more on that later. To stop the scooters, there is a single mechanical rear disc brake. On the handlebars, you will find one brake lever, and the brake pads are replaceable. The Hiboy weighs just 36 pounds and the iScooter weighs 35 pounds. And both scooters have a top speed of 19 miles per hour and a weight limit of 240 pounds. Although I have seen videos of riders weighing more than 280 pounds, and it pulls them around just fine, but it will limit its performance. On both scooters, you will find an LCD display screen with a one-button design, a one-button press to turn the scooter on and off. You can also switch between eco and sport mode, and to toggle cruise control on and off. Now, upon getting a scooter for the first time, it is recommended to download the corresponding app to go ahead and fine-tune and customize the app to your liking, adjusting the acceleration rate, top speed, and other settings.
All right, so before we get to the differences, let's talk about the advertised range. Now, companies are notorious for overextending their range to try to entice you to buy their product. It makes it sound even more appealing to you because it's like, wow, I didn't know it was that capable. But companies are notorious, and I could even give an example of DJI, the famous drone company, which I have currently owned one of their drones and owned many drones. They always overextend the range it's capable of and the battery life of the drone, and they never perform as advertised. They always fall short, and they always say under optimal conditions. Well, that's pretty much under a testing lab. Same thing with these. The advertised specs are under controlled conditions. So what I can tell you is that the Hiboy has an advertised range of 25 miles on eco mode. That's a slower mode, but supposed to give you longer range. Now, typically when people ride these, including myself, you always ride on sport mode. You want to get the most speed out of it. You want to cover the most distance quicker. So sport mode is going to diminish that by at least by 5 miles. So that'll put it around 20 miles. Now, I could tell you I did do some testing on this. I rode this for a few hours on a rail trail, and I got between 12 to 15 miles carrying myself. I'm 5'11", 225 pounds. And on a full charge, I got between 12 to 15 miles. And the reason I say between 12 to 15 is because on one instance, I got 12 something. On a different instance, I got closer to 15 on two different rides. But what it is based on is conditions. If it's windy out and you're going against a stiff wind, it's going to slow you down. The motor's going to fight harder. If you're on hilly terrain, going up hills a lot, it's going to affect its performance, wear down the battery quicker. if you're doing a lot of stopping and starting, again, it's going to affect the performance. So 12 to 15 miles is fair, and it's respectable based on a rider my size. Now, if you're someone who's lighter, if you're closer to like 160, 170, you're going to go even further. If you're heavier than me, you're going to go shorter. But under optimal conditions, if you were riding on level terrain, you're a lightweight rider, and there's no wind, you could get closer to the range that is advertised, but I'm pretty certain you won't reach it. For the iScooter Max here, and this one, well, just listen. It's advertised to have 22 miles on eco mode. That's just 3 miles short of this. So on sport mode, if you take it away 5 miles, that's 17 miles on sport mode estimated range. I rode this and on sport mode, and both of them included, full throttle as long as I could, but going on the same terrain, up and down hills, a breeze out, a rider my size, so on and so forth, this barely reached 10 miles. And that was depleting the battery down to nearly nothing. It was flashing and there was no power to the motor anymore. So this only got 10 miles of range, where this got, at the bare minimum, 12. And that's because, it's just two different scooters, same battery system, but one is designed to give you longer output and have a longer duration based on the electronics inside of it. So right off the bat, I could tell you the Hiboy S2 Pro does get longer range, hands down, against the iScooter Max. So if longevity is a concern for you, then that will be a deciding factor. Now, one of the big differences between these two scooters is the braking system. Now, they both do have single mechanical rear disc brakes, but this one has a second brake option. Right here is a regen braking thumb lever. That means it has regenerative braking. That reverses the power in the motor to slow you down, and it sends that extra power back into the battery. So not only does it stop you effectively, but you also save on your disc brake pads. They both do have 10-inch solid honeycomb tires, as explained, but the iScooter Max has narrower tires. They're a bit skinnier compared to the Hiboy, which are a bit wider. And for me, I feel that makes a difference in two instances. Number one, when you're going around turns, especially sharper turns, this feels, not that it's unstable, but you could feel that you're kind of on the edge of a skinny tire, where this one feels like you're more give, more room to flex and turn. Also, I do think it provides a smoother ride. When you're going over a rough terrain, like cracks, little bumps, even gravel, they're both going to be rigid rides based on the design, but this one I feel is a tad bit smoother, and I think it has a lot to do with the wider rubber honeycomb tires. Now, both these scooters are portable, as mentioned. The handlebar stems do fold down and attach to the rear fenders. Now, on the Hiboy S2 Pro, behind the LCD screen is a little hook. Other YouTubers would call it a grocery bag holder, but it's a hook that latches down to the fender, which is a spring-loaded latch to allow you to connect the handlebar, that's the scooter shutting off on its own, connect the handlebar to the fender. Same thing on the iScooter Max, except that on the handlebars there is a spring-loaded latch, and on the fender is a hook. So it's same premise, same design, just in different locations. But the iScooter Max has the upper hand because with this design of the spring-loaded latch on the handlebars, when you attach it, it stays securely locked under tension because it's spring-loaded, and there's no chance of it falling off or coming dislodged. Where on the Hiboy, unless you have upward pressure on it, it does have a tendency to slip out of the latch and it will become dislodged and you have to rehook it again. So iScooter Max folding system, portable, latching system does work better than the Hiboy. I will say that. So it does have the upper hand as far as when you're latching it, picking it up, it's always going to stay securely latched. Another feature I like in the Hiboy too is the charging port. Now, both of them have charging ports to plug in the charger to recharge the batteries. On the iScooter Max and on many other scooters, it's not just limited to this one, the charging port is on the side of the deck. It's just a little rubber gasket that fills in the hole there. You open it up, stick the charger in, and when you're done, seal it back up. Where on the Hiboy S2 Pro, the charging port is on the stem, right below the little grocery bag hook. So That is fantastic because the port is farther away from any dirt, dust, debris, or water potentially getting inside of it. Now, regarding the headlights, as I mentioned, they both have headlights. iScooter Max has the light right above the front wheel mounted onto the stem frame. It is a fixed position there. It does tilt down if you want it to, but you can't go up any higher. We're on the Hiboy S2 Pro, the light's right here, right on the center of the handlebars, which means when you turn the handlebars, the light is going to turn and it's going to face the direction that you're facing. Now, with that being said, the iScooter Max headlight is significantly brighter. It is a really bright light, but being so close to the ground and not being able to raise it up, it's only showing a few feet in front of you. It's very lackluster as far as performance of a light, just because you can't control the distance of it or the throw. So it's a bright light, super bright light, but it only shows right in front of you, where this one being up higher shows farther off in the distance, but it's not as bright, but it does show where you're going. So if you're going around a turn, the light will be pointing where you're going, where with the iScooter, the light's always facing forward. And if you're going around a turn, you may not have light showing where you're actually going. If you were to hit a pothole or something at night, that could be a big problem. So brighter light on the iScooter, better throw and direction on it on the Hiboy S2 Pro. They both do have working brake lights and tail lights, so when the lights are on, the tail lights are on, and when you do squeeze the brake lever or the regen braking in the Hiboy, the brake lights do illuminate even brighter. Another key feature that the Hiboy has, which is nothing to do with performance, just aesthetics, is that below the decking is actually 2 LED strips, and when the headlight is on, those light up red. So at nighttime, there's a nice red glow coming off the deck, kind of giving a nice warm glow to the ground. So it looks neat. It doesn't help with performance or seeing ahead of you. It just, if anything, you're more visible to other people out there. Now, before we do some test rides here, I do want to share the details of what I paid. So iScooter Max, I bought off Amazon, and I bought them a few weeks ago. It was March when I bought them, and I ended up paying $550 total on Amazon, but that is with a $120 coupon. So this was $670 retail price. They did have an included coupon for $120 off, brought it down to $550. So $550. Hiboy is available on Amazon, but it's always smart to shop around and to do your research, because on the Hiboy website, they had a better price. So with a $90 spring sale, it's called a spring sale code, it was $90 off. It came to $609, but that includes an optional seat for $50. So if you were to break it down without the seat, these were roughly the same price, maybe $10 apart. So $609 and change for the Hiboy with the seat, and that was with the spring sale on their website. On Amazon, I think this was anywhere from $25 to $40 more. Now, regarding the seat does go into the back of the platform here. All it takes is an Allen wrench to install it, and that is where the rear suspension really shines. Both of them, as mentioned, has dual rear spring suspension, and when you're standing up riding it, I don't feel it. If anything, they should have put front suspension, front fork suspension, because the front wheel hits the bumps first. That's just common sense. For whatever reason, they put it in the back. But I can understand why they did it on the Hiboy, because when you're sitting on this, majority of your weight is over the rear wheel. So when I go over bumps or bounces or cracks, the front wheel doesn't hit as hard on those bumps and bounces, but the back has a little bit of spring, a little bit of cushion to it. So it's a much more comfortable ride with the seat. Now, I will admit, watching some video of me riding it, it looks like I'm on a high-speed Jazzy, like the electric cart at Walmart. It does look kind of goofy, but in the long run, it's very practical. But having the seat, it gives your feet a break. Your feet are just kind of on the platform, and you're not having to put all your pressure on it. So just like a traditional bicycle, your butt will get sore too, but I like having the option of being able to sit or stand. And that's why I think this scooter here is 100% ideal for anyone that wants to maybe get into a scooter for themselves, especially people who have mobility issues, who have issues with breathing, or getting tired easily, or stiff joints, anything. If you still want to get out and enjoy life and nature and don't want to have to put your health at risk, this is a fantastic option. 36 pounds, most people can lift it themselves. If not, you could get someone to help you lift it up. All you do is stand up the handlebars. It latches with the latch system here. And if you want to have the seat, all you have to do is use the included Allen wrench to install the seat, and you could go for an easy 10 to 15 mile ride. So with that being said, it's time to mount you guys on my chest, and based on viewer feedback, you guys want the upper view, which means when we ride, it's gonna be like you're riding it yourself. You're not gonna see the handlebars, you're gonna be seeing clear straight across, and it's gonna be as if you're operating this for yourself. So you'll get a sense as to the speed, the maneuverability. I'm also gonna share, as we're riding, what I think of both these scooters after having owned them for a few weeks. So let me get set up to go, and we'll have some fun riding here in the movie theater parking lot. One button press to turn it on. We're going to start in eco mode. That's a quick double press. It says eco on the screen. I know you can't see that, but it does say it there. So, oh, one other thing I forgot to mention really quick. With both these scooters, through the apps, you have an option as to how you want these to operate. So right now they're set up as kick to start, which means I have to physically kick my foot to propel it to start it moving before the motor will engage. You could also turn that off where you just touch the throttle and it will start moving on its own. So depending on how you want it to operate, you can either kick to start or have it start moving automatically. But I have that turned out just because if you were to accidentally press that, it could inadvertently just kind of leach out in front of you. So kick to start is how these will be operating today. Okay, we're gonna kick it and stand on it. And I always ride these with one foot forward and my rear foot kind of at a 45-degree angle. I do wear a size 13, so there's not a whole lot of room, but it is able to work. And we maxed out at 12 miles per hour. So 12 miles per hour is eco mode. It'll give you the most range, but it's going to take the longest time to get to your destination. But if you want to preserve your power and don't have any hills to climb, eco mode may be the mode for you. But when it comes to hills, if you're going up any type of grade, it's not going to really do this job. It's not going to climb it in eco mode. This is just for flat terrain here. So a quick 2 press on the button here puts it into sport mode. There's an S that comes on. And now we're going to max out at 19. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you about the iScooter here, it's one thing I like, that Joe likes, and anyone who's ridden it, including RJ, is that the power from 0 to top speed is quite impressive. It has a pretty good pickup speed. So when you're riding and you give it full throttle, it kind of pulls you back a little bit. It has some pretty decent takeoff speed. So that is one thing I do like about the iScooter. Now, this is not a super smooth parking lot here. There are cracks and bumps, and it's a little bit of rough macadam here, but it's still comfortable to ride. Now, when it comes to overall performance of this, aside from having a more acceleration than the Hiboy, the range is diminished. So I can't go as far as a Hiboy could go. As mentioned too, with the skinnier tires, when I go around these turns, I could hear the tires kind of digging into the blacktop. It's making like a, rubber on asphalt noise. And you could tell you're going on the edge of the tire. I've never slid out. I never had any issue falling down, but you could tell it is a different ride on these tires. Even though they're both solid honeycomb tires, both 10-inch, there is a clear difference in how these perform. All right, here we go with the Hiboy S2 Pro. One button, turn it on. It is in eco mode, and we're gonna kick to start. Now right at the bat, one clear difference I could tell between the iScooter and the Hiboy is the LCD screen is much brighter on the Hiboy. I could see it in daylight, no problem, where on the iScooter, it is very dim, and unless you have some shade or you cup your hand over it, it's very hard to see the display of how fast you're going or the battery life. So on eco mode, I have a full throttle, and we are going 11 miles per hour. Now you hear that double beep? That is cruise control kicking in, which means I can let go of it and it will maintain that speed. You can turn cruise control off or on through the app or by triple pressing the button on the screen here. To take cruise control off, you either touch the throttle again or touch your brake. And right there, I'm stopping using the regen braking, which I love because it's going to prolong the brake pads and brake use of the rear mechanical disc brake. So right now I'm going to double press it into sport mode, and let's go for a faster, further ride. The motor on this too just sounds really nice and smooth. It's a nice smooth acceleration. Now compared to the iScooter, as I said in that one, this doesn't accelerate as fast, and that may be good for some people because, you know, if you don't want to risk getting thrown off or losing control of it, this has a nice smooth acceleration and will still top out at 19 miles per hour. Now I have it full speed right now, and we are going 19. Had to slow down there, just getting a bit faster on the turn. I'm still getting used to these myself. Now here we're going up a slight incline, and we are doing 12 miles per hour based on a rider of my size, and it's really, really windy out. So I'm fighting the wind. And it just sounds quieter and smoother. With these wider tires, it just is a overall smoother ride. And I'll do some turns again as I did with the iScooter. I don't hear that wearing sound. I don't hear that rubber on asphalt sound. I just hear practically nothing. So the wider tires make a huge difference in comfortability and just overall performance going around turns. It's very quiet. I don't hear that rubbing sound like I did on the iScooter. All right, right now I'm gonna give it full throttle. I'm gonna go as fast as I can and use the regen braking lever to stop, and you'll be able to kind of see how quickly it stops and hear the motor as well. So that's a nice controlled stop with the regen braking lever right here. Now, if you want to stop faster, just use both brakes. But I like using just that lever because it just preserves the brakes. So if I ever do have to use the mechanical disc brakes, I know that they're going to be fresh pads on there because I hardly ever use it. So there's just so many good features about the Hiboy. And just to reiterate, they didn't know I was making this review, and I'm not being paid to do this review. This is my honest opinion. I've shared both good and not so good things about both these scooters to help provide you with options out there if you want to get into something like this for yourself. And this is something, as I mentioned, there's actually glass here. I'm running over glass. No worries at all. But yeah, you have options out there, and watching review videos like this one will steer you in the right direction and help you avoid making a costly mistake. Although I am happy with both scooters, I am more happy with the Hiboy. It just has more qualities and seems just like an overall better product. So I want to mention just a couple things really quick. When you're riding these scooters, if it's your first time, always keep both hands on the handlebars. Don't take a hand off while you're going. It is pretty unstable. If you have to itch yourself or do something, come to a stop first before you do take a hand off the handlebars. Otherwise, you may intentionally crash just because it's just a really narrow, lightweight scooter. Now, when you are operating this with the seat, it is much more stable because you have a lower center of gravity. So when the seat's on here, your weight's on the rear, you get better suspension, better comfortable ride, but it feels more stable. So, you know, sitting position would be kind of like this, and your feet get a break, your butt gets a break, and it's just a lower center of gravity, more stable, more comfortable ride. So the seat is actually, I love to ride it with the seat. So does Jill, so does Lily. RJ took it for a ride with the seat. The seat is a great option. So if you do get the Hiboy S2 Pro, make sure you opt for the seat. It's only $50 more. Now, one other update I do want to share with you is I do have 2 scooters. I am getting a third. The third one's going to be different from these ones. The third one's going to be more of a beast of a scooter. I will tell you that. I'm not going to give any spoilers. When that scooter comes though, I will be doing 3 dedicated videos. I'm going to be doing an unboxing and overview video, showing you what it's like when it gets shipped to you, putting it together, and going over all the features and everything like that. We're also going to do a test ride first impressions video where we're going to take it out for the very first time together, probably on a rail trail, and I'm going to see how it performs and share my thoughts live as we do our first impressions test ride. Third, we're going to do more of a long distance ride where we're going to find a destination to go to, maybe do a little bit of exploring, but we're going to use the scooter to get there. So when that scooter comes out, you'll see 3 dedicated videos at the least of that scooter. When it comes to the Hiboy here, which is my preferred scooter to ride, you will be seeing this again in the future. I did create a dedicated scooter playlist, so anything scooter related, whether it's reviews or adventures, will be linked and listed under the scooter playlist. As we go about, if I learn or find out anything different as far as performance or things that maybe broke on these, stuff like that, I will keep you informed. Also check the pinned comment too for any latest updates if you're watching this video as to how these scooters are holding up. So with that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in to watch. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, it's greatly appreciated that you stuck around. It means a lot to me that you took the time to hear me out and listen to these overview and comparison versus iScooter Max versus Hiboy S2 Pro. If you have any questions at all, I'll do my best to answer them for you. And if you are new to the channel and want to see more scooter related videos or to see what else I do, well, first subscribe to the channel and then go to my playlist. I have a variety of content and I have a lot of new stuff coming out this year that you are not going to want to miss. So with that being said, thank you so very much for watching. And until next time, everyone, I'll see you real soon in the next video.